All right. Today, I want to discuss the paradox of loving a narcissist, right? And I want to address the deeply paradoxical and painful dynamic that can arise in that type of situation. The more you love them, the more they seem to despise you, right? This is not only a source of confusion, but it can lead to a lot of heartbreak, which a lot of you have experienced through this and so forth. But we're going to speak on this. Okay. Narcissistic love is threatening. You know, when someone deeply loves a narcissist, they often provide unconditional acceptance and genuine emotional connection, right? And this can provoke feelings of hatred or contempt in the narcissist. And here's why. You have to understand narcissists absolutely despise and fear vulnerability, right? True love requires vulnerability. Make no mistake about it. You cannot be in love, folks, unless the both of you are vulnerable to one another, right? Vulnerability is equated with weakness in a narcissist's mind. When you love them, you might expose their flaws, insecurities, or emotional needs, which interprets a threat to their carefully constructed self-image that they've worked so hard on to manufacture, right? So the other thing it leads into is the projection of self-hate. Narcissists often, very often, harbor deep self-loathing feelings, which they bury beneath all this grandiosity that they have. When you love them, they subconsciously project this hatred onto you. Your love becomes a mirror reflecting the aspects of themselves they just absolutely cannot accept about themselves. So the disdain for dependence comes in. See, when you're with a narcissist in these relationships, right, which I call transactions, they're not mutual connections. When you love them unconditionally, it creates an imbalance. They may see your love as foolish because it cannot be earned in their transactional view, right? Which leads into the control and power dynamics, right? Love can make a narcissist feel out of control because the feelings it limits them, because if they start falling in love calls for them to have to act and behave differently towards the person that's loving them, right? They can't do some of the egregious things that they do when someone is actually loving them. They would have to fall back from that and reciprocate a lot of that treatment back onto the other person, which is going to make them vulnerable and not in control, because to be in control, you have to purposely manage your emotions in a certain way to where you don't get fully caught up into the other person. You have to be somewhat cold-hearted, fake, pretentious all around. So their response to this is often to degrade or devalue you to regain dominance. That's why that happens. If they go along with the flow, they're going to fall in love just like you, and they're going to be just as vulnerable as you are. And that's why the inability to reciprocate this love and the things that you do for them, they have to intentionally be mindful of and withhold back. Right? And because narcissists lack emotional empathy, they cannot reciprocate that type of love genuinely anyway. Your love serves as a painful reminder to their emotional limitations, which they counter by demeaning your capacity to love them. And so we go into, why do narcissists see love as foolish? For a narcissist in the first place, love is not a sacred or selfless act. It's a weakness to exploit the perception, right? And this perception stems from, they already have a cynical worldview. Narcissists often see relationships as zero-sum games, right? Where one person wins and the other loses. They equate love with naivety, right? Being naive, believing that anyone who loves freely must lack intelligence or strength to protect themselves. So when you fall in love, they see it, you're easy game. Wow, you're that foolish? You let yourself be open like that? Geez, you're dumb. That's how they look at it. And this is how you have to, this is why you have to be mindful through the information that I'm giving you, that this is what's occurring in their minds when you start loving them. And then after that comes a devaluation of your emotions. Emotions like love and compassion are dismissed as impractical at least, or weak. Narcissists value control, dominance, and achievements over emotional connections all day long. That's what's at the hierarchy of what they value and respect between a relationship or a transaction. Right? They rather have control than love any day. This is why when many go on to a new source of supply, it's because it has the ability to instantly give them a greater amount of control in that situation than the one that they're in with you. And that's where the exploitation of the particular mindset of how they are comes in. They see those who love them as easy to manipulate. To them, love signals that you are willing to tolerate their behavior, making you a fool in their eyes. All right? And so the impact on the loved one when loving a narcissist, often leads to a cycle of emotional abuse, including, like I said, devaluation, the gaslighting, and the emotional drainage that comes into play with that as well. So by understanding this, for those of you who are still caught up in narcissism, not just in relationships, but in family dynamics too, it's important to understand that you're never going to get them to reciprocate the amount of love and compassion that you give to them. That's not going to happen. You're never going to get them to be able to do that. And the more you try to love them, the more you're going to look like a fool in their eyes. So prioritize your own self-worth. All right? Recognize that their behavior is not a reflection of your value, but of their limitations. All right? You're not going to get anywhere trying to force love upon a narcissist. trying to convince them how much you love and care for them. They're never going to see it as something valuable to hold on to. That's why it's so easy for them to walk away and move on to the next person. It doesn't have the same value to a narcissist as it would have to a normal person. All right. You heard the saying where they say hurt people, right? This can even go and play in parts with people who have PTSD from certain things in the past. They shut off that ability to fully open up in love. And it won't be as extreme as a narcissist, but you have to be aware that when you're dealing with someone like that, and let's say a normal person, they've been hurt so severely, they're going to withhold that love back and probably not open up if they're not forced to, right? If you don't, or they don't get the proper therapy to be able to open up in that way. Even though they're not a narcissist, you will still have an unbalanced type of relationship. Because the person who's been hurt badly and not healed will never give you 100%. They may get up to 60, they may get up to 70, but they're not going to go any further to get to 100, because giving 100% is going to threaten them, right? It's going to make them, trigger them in some ways to think, wow, the last time I was here, I got hurt really bad. With narcissists, this is just the way that they operate, because they see it as stupidity to love. But I'm just giving you all the aspects of how that can play out with other people who have been hurt severely in relationships or in certain things in life where they trusted in someone and that trust was betrayed and they loved. You'll never get 100% out of them if they haven't got the proper therapy to deal with it. So it's not just exclusive to narcissists with not wanting to love back in any way because of the vulnerability that it exposes them to. So essentially, loving a narcissist can feel like pouring water into a bottomless well. It takes everything you have and gives you nothing in return. And while this dynamic is deeply rooted in the narcissist psychology, it's crucial to remember that their inability to love or accept love at least, is not your fault. Real love thrives on mutual respect, empathy, and reciprocity. Right? And these are qualities that a narcissist will never fully grasp. So when you're attempting any type of relationship, friendship, whatever, prioritize self-love first. And you have to deliberately seek connections with people who cherish your heart and value a lot of the same things that you value, and not only speak it, but they display it. And that's all I have to say for this message. All right, enjoy your day, folks. If this helped you, consider to like, share. Until next time, have a good one. Be safe out there.